Ladies and gentlemen, how's it going? Here with another episode of Team Doctor, where I take a look at user-submitted teams, and I make alterations. I try to improve them. Like a doctor does in the real world. It's kind of like, medical science, a little bit. Team building is a bit of its science itself. Today's submission is from Mason. Thank you for the continued support. Mason with another Team Doctor submission with the following team. Some sort of... What I told Mason when I saw this team at a glance was that this is somewhere between a Magneton team and a mixed offense team. This is, Curse Rest, Snorlax, Utility Celebi, and Claydol. They all want Mag. They hate Skarm. This team, as it stands, gets a bit too farmed by Skarmory. And I think a common misconception people have is that having a Pokemon like Charizard or Zapdos that threatens Skarmory is enough to beat Skarmory, but that's not the case, because Skarmory is a value engine where every time it gets a defensive switch, every time it's in and it's not dead, they make permanent progress by making a spike and you're on the back foot, and your spinner is vulnerable to toxic or drill peck spam. So you need a way to nail down Skarmory and stop it from doing that stuff. You need Skarmory to cut it out, And this doesn't quite cut it. You can't expect people to just stay in and take the Fire Blast. They're going to get out of there. So, mixed offense teams aim to threaten the things that Skarm wants to switch out of, So you have a threat in, you're threatening Skarm right in front of you, and then you also threaten the things that Skarmory wants to switch out of. That's the idea of that. Or you have a Trapper, you just eliminate the Skarm with a Magneton. Skarm is a very centralizing Pokemon that you need to have a concrete plan against, folks. So, I don't think that this team cuts it against Skarm, Especially utility Celebi sets like this are Skarm food in a major way. They can take the Leech Seed, not care, just sit and make spikes. Every time you let a Skarmory freely make spikes, they are getting an advantage and winning slowly but surely. Even if you have Claydol, Charizard, you may think this is solid against Skarm, but it isn't. So how do we remedy this? Well, I asked Mason if you want to go in a Magneton direction or a mixed offense spikeless direction, and he said the spikeless direction appeals to him more, so I tested out the team a little bit. My first cut was Celebi. I replaced Celebi with a Breloom. And I was using initially this set right here with HP Ghost, Adamant Nature, and I figured, we've got the Metagross, we got the Claydol, we're solid enough versus Tyranitar, but I found that we had problems with this build, had problems against Salamence, and a little bit against Gengar. We've got HP Ghost to nail it on the switch, we've got Claydol with Psychic, and we've got Charizard who's immune to Wisp, but the plan against both Gengar and Salamence was too flimsy, and you can't have that. You can't be flimsy against two very, very common metagame Pokemon such as Gengar and Salamence. I don't hate the idea of a Claydol on a mixed offense. I think it can work because it's inherently got offensive merit with Earthquake and Explode. It can soft check anything, and then Spin is very nice for Snorlax, Metagross. They appreciate Spin, but I think that it's we got to consider a different direction if we're going with the Claydol. You want a little bit more stuff that benefits from the Spin, and it's hard to benefit from Spin when you're using a fast-paced team, I think. So, unfortunately, Mason, I've changed your team quite a bit. Here's Jim's version. So, your version, Jim's version. Well, this was initially a Celebi, of course. Let's change it back for... Another thing was that this was Heal Bell Celebi, which is also even more slow-paced. I mean, you do have a Rest Snorlax, but this Rest Snorlax cannot function without Magneton. I feel like a common thing that newer players do is they chuck this Curse Rest Body Slam Snorlax on with no regard for Skarmory. This thing is Skarmory food to the greatest extent. It basically mandates a Magneton. You need a Magneton if you're running this set. I can't imagine a team, unless you're running like a Skarm bait, like a Metagross with a Choice Band that baits in Skarm and kills it, or something else that baits Skarm. I can't advise this particular set without a Magneton. And a lot of new players run this set without Magneton. Don't do it, folks. It's not the way. So, this does look kind of a standard mixed offense thing, but I have a Pursuit Tar here, and the things that benefit from Pursuit Tar, we cut HP Ghost on the Breloom and put Mach Punch on. Makes you a little bit more solid versus stuff like, of course, Tyranitar, but even things that are low health, like a low Aerodactyl, you can snipe it. Various low health enemies can be taken out. And it helps having a backup option versus Tar when you're running an offensive Swampert lacking Protect. Also helps to have a backup option versus Aerodactyl when you don't have the world's sturdiest normal and rock resists. Like Tyranitar's a normal resist, Swampert's a rock resist, so we cover those tick boxes, but it can be problematic when they're not as sturdy. But what I like about Pursuit Tar, it helps you against Aerodactyl. If they're ever locked into a resisted move, you get a Pursuit, you get free chip against them. That can put them into range of Mach Punch pretty quickly. Another thing I like is that Tyranitar synergizes with Breloom, obviously by eliminating Gengar, allowing Breloom to click its fighting type attacks very freely. But another synergy you have, if a Doug eliminates Breloom with Aerial Ace, you Mach Punch it as you die, and then Tyranitar comes in, obviously shrugs off the Aerial Ace and Pursuit traps the Doug. So you take out the Doug. Not that your team cares that much about Doug, but it's nice still. Like, Doug can be annoying. It's immune to electric. It can like threaten a less bulky Swampert. And the Snorlax set, I initially was running this Earthquake, Shadow Ball, Focus Punch, Self-Destruct, because I feel like you needed to hit Gengar on this version of the team. But then we've got the Pursuit Task, so we can afford to maybe cut Shadow Ball. It's not always good to put all your eggs in one basket and rely on the Pursuit Trap, but then we've got other, like Zapdos can tank a hit, and like Swampert if it lacks HP Grass. Charizard can be an emergency thing. I think it's okay. I think you can, most of the time you're going to get rid of Gengar. And yeah, offensive Swampert over Claydol. I tried the Claydol. I don't hate the idea, but as I said, it is hard to get too much value out of the spin. It's hard to, like, it's kind of a momentum sink a little bit. And this team, these types of teams are all about momentum. You know, you want to, if you make a defensive switch, it wants to be something that is immediately threatening them again. You know, you switch to Swampert, all of a sudden you're threatening incoming Skarmory, incoming Blissey, incoming Celebi. Everything that wants to come in against you, you have an answer for. Same with Snorlax. You can punch an incoming Skarm, spread Body Slam, Paralyze, do, like, it's very threatening immediately. Even Zap and Charizard have defensive merit. They can come in and like Metagross Mash, in comes Charizard all of a sudden. What do? Oh, another thing I changed. This was initially HP Grass, Toxic Dragon Claw. I think that a good compromise here is that you cut HP Grass and you run HP Ice, which is able to hit Salamence. Not only like better than Dragon Claw, it's straight up one-hit Salamence. You're often very much faster than Salamence. And then Toxic is good against the incoming Waters or the incoming Swampert. Can even free up a free turn to let you get Zapdos in or Snorlax in or something. Even Breloom. If you Toxic something with Refresh, like a Melodic, and then you run Beat Up, directly threaten Blissey. Very important. I think Charizard's greatest quality over Moltres is its ability to directly threaten Blissey with either Beat Up or Focus Punch. So I think that this set might as well be a Moltres. You know? If you're not taking advantage of Charizard's ability to threaten Blissey, you might as well run Moltres. The other advantage of Charizard is the ability to threaten Salamence, but then I don't love this team's matchup against Salamence in general. I think that you don't even one-hit the Salamence with Dragon Claw. You don't have any Ice Beam, Ice coverage anywhere. So I do like the, because the Swampert answers physical Salamences. The Tyranitar helps against banned Salamence. If they lock into HP Fly, you can Pursuit them, Sand Chip them, and Zapdos and Charizard help quite a bit versus mixed Salamence. They're going to be slower than you. They're going to be threatened by HP Ice. A lot of them stay in. They don't expect HP Ice. So I think that this mixed offense team is cool. I haven't built with Breloom on mixed offense in a while. Figured Breloom was a good replacement for Celebi. And I like Breloom. I do like it alongside the offensive Swampert and the HP Ice Charizard, because it can... And the Pursuit Tar, because, you know, who's the most common switches into Breloom? Salamence and Gengar. Salamence and Gengar always come in on Breloom, so you have good team options to punish both of those. Plus an Adamant Focus Punch chips Salamence a lot, even after Intimidate. Breloom is kind of a monster. Anyway, yeah, I think that's about it. Allow me to show you guys some replays here with the team in action. As for the lead, I think Zapdos is probably the best. You could go Tar if you want. Test it out yourself. Tar might be nice to threaten enemy Zaptone 1. I played against a couple Jolt leads and it was a bit annoying. And of course, enemy Tar can be annoying when you have to bat and pass out and go to like Breloom or Swampert, who might die to like mixed coverage. Especially if it's mixed Tar, they actually outspeed the Breloom. That's a problem. But it's handleable enough, I think. I think it's alright. Anyway. Into the replay. I do bat into the Breloom turn 1 and he clicked Pursuit. Kind of a bad click. Doesn't work against Dry Pass. I get the Sleep on Furry. And this is a free Focus Punch now. But in comes a Gengar. And this was a weird one. It's actually... You know, some Gengar sets are designed to bait and take out Pursuit Tar. And this is one of them. It was or am I getting this mixed up with something else? No, this was Giga Drain. Right. So you got the Ice Punch crit there, and then the Giga Drain is now enough to mix me up. So this was a mix-up here. Is he going to switch out on a... Because you live a Pursuit as the Gengar. Gengar lives a Pursuit because Giga Drain will heal him back up. So I now have to decide, am I going to Crunch or am I going to Pursuit? It's a mix-up. So I just go to what I think was a pretty cool middle ground, which was Charizard, which covers if you Giga Drain and it covers if you switch out. And it allows me to see how fast you are by the Sandstorm order. We determine that the Gengar's faster, and I can live a Thunderbolt from this amount of health, so I stay in and take it and eliminate the Gengar that way. Bit of a roundabout way to get rid of Gengar there, but yes, the Giga Drain set can get you sometimes, so be careful against that. It forces mix-ups because they might switch out on Crunch. I Toxic on the way out. And that's why I like Charizard Toxic as well. Not only does it hit Swampert and stuff, but it even like a Pursuit Tar threatening to kill you. Like, I think a Toxic is a lot better than HP Grass on the more standard Charizard. We get Breloom back in. And here's an example of that situation I was saying before. We Mark Punch the Doug. We get Aerial Aced, and then in comes Pursuit Tar. We can counter trap the Doug, which is, you know, like I said, we're not that weak against Doug, but it is nice just to... It's nice just to take out one of the electric immunes, one of the ground types. And Zapdos, of course, threatens and is outspeeds Swampert, so Zapdos all of a sudden becomes much better now that Doug is gone. There's always mix-up potential when there's a Doug up, because they can come in and threaten Rock Slide or threaten EQ on the switch to a Rock Resist. It's pretty much smooth sailing from here. The Forretress is asleep. I go for a Focus Punch. It full parried, but it doesn't really matter. And offensive Swampert is able to threaten everything. Look at offensive Swampert go. It can punch the Bliss. Nothing wants to take Pump. In comes Zapdos. And that's it. One of these games I did play against a sub-punch Gengar, or maybe that was one of the other games that I was testing in. Now, this team from the enemy wasn't very good, plus I got lucky. But it did have a Gengar in it, so I'll show it anyway. So, I apologize to this Jumpluff who has missed 2 Sleep Powders on turn 1 and 2 of the game and then been killed. A little bit lame. And we T-Wave a Jirachi for good measure. And my opponent stayed in the face of a Snorlax and just clicked a body slam. Can't advise this line of play to the viewers at home if you're the Jirachi user. Would not advise this one. Would probably suggest a different line of gameplay, especially when it is now revealed that you have a Skarmory on your team. I think that the decision making in the prior few turns makes even less sense, but it's not up to me to decide what people do with their lives, is it? In comes Breloom to achieve a free Spore. It is dangerous a little bit to go Breloom in the face of Skarm. They can always peck randomly. It's not that uncommon of a play. Peck can hit like an incoming Gengar, or like it's not even too bad versus Snorlax. Not too much risk associated with it. I expected a Spike, but it was a Toxic. At least it wasn't a Peck. And in comes Gengar. Was this the Sub Punch one? I might be having a fever dream. No, this was something other. And Ludicolo gets a crit surf against my Snorlax. What a shame. What a rotten way to go. And now that I'm frightened of Gengar having options against Pursuit Tar, I went to Swamp It, willing to lose it just to die and get Tar in. This Sleeping Skarm isn't achieving a whole lot. I got the burn on the Ludicolo. Makes up for the crit, I suppose, but I say I got more lucky in this game than he did with my good old dodge 2 sleeps on the first 2 turns of the game. Maybe should have clicked self-destruct there just to pivot into Tyranitar, but that's alright. I just sack Snorlax anyway, same difference. I've died. And that's how you can get Pursuitar safely in sometimes, is tactical sacks. You know, you don't always need a certain Pokemon to win the game. You can tactically sack the... And what's good about this is that from full I chip the Doug into range of Mach Punch, which allows Breloom to exist safely against Doug. That's another little bit of synergy, is that the Tar, if they try to trap it with Doug, will put them into Mach Punch range, so Breloom can be safe against it. Something to note. And Charizard can clean this one up. We go Breloom just to chip him with the burn. It's all over. Not the greatest example, I'll admit. Strange team, but it had Skarm and Gar. So, you know, there's something to showcase the Pursuitar plus Breloom synergy a little bit. Now here's the final replay. I Thunder Wave on turn 1. I get a Snorlax in. Sing has missed. It's low chance to get through with the power plus low accuracy. And Punch is a good click there. You know, what comes in on Snorlax? Skarm, Tyranitar, Metagross. Or sometimes Gengar, which can be answered by a simple Pursuitar in the back. I once again do my Breloom play, which can be dangerous, as I said. I'm playing with fire a little bit doing this, but most of the time they make a spike there. The thing to note is that clicking Peck is quite dangerous when you have a Snorlax revealed, because you are suggesting you might have a Magneton. Especially if you have not yet revealed Focus Punch, then you're suggesting there could be a Magneton, so probably most Skarms aren't going to click Peck in the face of a Snorlax for that reason, so that kind of lets Breloom come in safely, something to think about. Yeah, I Spore the incoming Gengar, and then I punch a Salamence. Like I said, good chip, and no leftovers, so I figured probably Choice Band Salamence, probably clicking HP Flying. But he clicks Rock Slide to try and hit my Zapdos, who also can come in against HP Flying. Fair enough from him. But here's Pursuitar showing its worth again, getting a Pursuit off on Choice Band Salamence. Choice Band Salamence now dead to 2 more Sand Chips. And now in this game state, like Charizard just wins. Look at this. We got a Salamence low, probably slower than me, probably dies to HP Ice. Well, of course it does. Sleeping Gengar, just Fire Blast it. Skarm dies to Fire Blast. Blissey dies to Fire Blast plus Beat Up. What's the last? Needs to be something good. Like, look at Charizard's. This crit doesn't even matter, I don't think. I'm pretty sure my full team is up and not status, so I got 6 Beat Up hits with very high base attack ones with Tar, Snorlax, and Breloom, so that Blissey is dead as hell. It's all over. The enemy had very little to do there. This is an example of why I love Charizard, folks. Can really just go nuts. Alright, well. I apologize, Mason, for once again changing most of the team, but hopefully this is still in line with what you were going for a little bit. You did say you wanted a mixed offense direction, and in fairness, I did try the Claydol. I didn't try the Celebi. Maybe a mixed offense with Celebi can work. Generally, I prefer running Celebi with a Trapper, usually Mag, and a more sturdy, like a Spinner, which you did have, but also like a sturdier thing defensively, you know. Unless you're doing an offensive Celebi. Perhaps like one of those Leech 3 attack Celebis could work on a mixed offense. I could try that, because that theoretically threatens everything, but Leech is a bit too slow-paced for such a thing, I think. I would almost rather a Venusaur or something, just to get a sleep in there. Yeah, this team is fast-paced. You get the Pursuitar supporting the Breloom and the Snorlax. And taking out Gengar is also kind of nice for Zap, Zard, and Swampert, to be honest. Can't go wrong with that. This is a mixed threat as well with the Brick Break. We're EV'd to outsprint Iron Blissey. Breloom's fun. This spread, I just went 222 to outrun Adamant Tar. And then dump the rest in defense. Sometimes you can live like a double edge from +1 Tar or something. Or like, if you're chipped a little bit, you got a higher chance to live and Brick Break them if you want to try that. Or get 2 Mark Punches in. Live a hit. Sometimes the defense is relevant. I like it. You can go faster if you... I don't know what going faster actually does for you. You outrun like most Magnetons. I think that's it, but... yeah, like Magneton with HP Fire can be faster than you. Randomly. I guess if you want to be faster than HP Fire Mag, you run this, because HP Fire Mag can only be 238 speed. So that's worthwhile. But if you want to be greedy, you do this. Up to you. Mason and others. Alright, thank you for watching. How fun is that? If you guys want to submit a team to the Team Doctor series, there's a link down below to my Patreon with information. Also, ADV OU terms glossary. If you're confused about any terminology I use within the metagame, I've put together a document listing various terms used by the community. It's in the description. Join my Discord. You wanted any team building tips or general questions? You want to chat about the latest movie you watched? I don't know. Whatever the hell you want. Become a part of the community. Join my Discord. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. It's a bit of a cliche to say this, but a lot of you are viewers that have not subscribed. Like 50% of people haven't subscribed. I would appreciate it. I'm almost to 2,000, in fact. That would be cool. Wouldn't it? Okay, I'll shush up now. It's time to buzz off. Jim, shut up. Stop self-promoting. It's unseemly. Alright, goodbye.